Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. This time I'm going to be going over 5 wide receivers that I think are great values going later on in drafts, and guys that I think are really pretty much locks to beat their ADP, assuming health this season. They're not necessarily players that I think have the upside to be like the wide receiver one overall or anything, but these are guys that I think that you're going to look back on at the end of the year, and you're going to be happy that you drafted them. It's really great to find these guys to really help stabilize your roster over the course of the season. They're just really nice, sort of confidence picks during the course of the draft. They're going to help stabilize your team. So, if there's anybody I didn't mention in this video, let me know in the comments below. I love interacting with you guys there. If you guys have any disagreements, let me know in the comments below as well. It's a lot of fun interacting with you guys there. And hopefully you guys like these players. These are guys that I do find myself taking quite a bit in drafts, and I really do think you guys should too. So, yeah, that being said, let's get into it here. I'll start things off with probably my personal favorite, and that's going to be Jakobi Meyers. Now, he's just a screaming value in drafts right now. He's being drafted as the wide receiver 42 off the board. Each of the last 3 years, so dating back to 2022, he finishes the wide receiver 29. In 2023, he finishes the wide receiver 24, and last year he was the wide receiver 20. So it feels like in general, he's been a top 30 wide receiver over the entire course of his career. Believe it or not, I think it's fair to say that Geno is probably the best quarterback he's had in years, especially last year, right? He finishes the wide receiver 20, did it with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew at quarterback. This is a significant upgrade for him. This offense should be a lot better with the addition of Ashton Jeanty. I really like Jakobi Meyers. I think he's like a reliable wide receiver 2 or 3 for you guys every single week, and you're drafting him as the wide receiver 42 right now. So I think Meyers is a fantastic value in drafts. I'm drafting him a ton, and where he's being drafted, it just feels like so safe. I love drafting him right there. Next up, we got Stephon Diggs, who, if you asked me a few years ago if he was ever going to show up on the values list, I'd have probably told you not. But he's currently being drafted as wide receiver 40 off board, so way lower than he has been over the entire course of his career. And he's the clear wide receiver 1 in New England. I think generally the primary concern here would be just his health coming off the torn ACL, but he's seemingly 100% healthy. He's been cleared for full participation in training camp, which really points towards them expecting him to be 100% come week 1, which is very impressive, honestly, given his age and the injury he suffered. But I'm more and more optimistic about the opportunity he's going to offer for us in fantasy this season. There's really no target competition either, right? Like, you got Hunter Henry at tight end. At wide receiver, you've got Demario Douglas. You've got Kyle Williams, who I like, but I don't think Kyle Williams is going to command a really high target share. He's just going to be a great deep threat for them. So I think in general, you could easily see Stephon Diggs with a 25 to 30% target share, operating in the intermediate short area of the field, being like that possession receiver for this offense. And I think in general, as a community, we expect Drake May to take a step forward. I think I, at least personally, liked what we saw out of Drake May last season. And if Drake May does take a step forward, that means increased touchdown upside, increased yardage for this offense. And if he's going to do that, somebody on this offense is going to be fantasy viable outside of him, obviously. And I think it's really fair to expect like a top 36 finish out of Diggs this season. Currently being drafted as a wide receiver 40. And, he actually looked really good at the beginning of the last year prior to the injury. I think he's getting up there in age. He's not going to be the wide receiver 5 or whatever. He doesn't have that in his range of outcomes, but I do think he could be a top 24 wide receiver. Really similar to like how Adam Thielen had a couple really good years for Bryce Young. I think Stephon Diggs could come in here and do like the same thing that Adam Thielen did and be like surprisingly really good for us for fantasy this year. Next up, we got Jennings, and just more and more, it feels like Jennings is going to be incredibly important to the success of this Niners offense. You got Ricky Pearsall and Brandon Ayuk both starting training camp on the PUP. It sounds like Pearsall should be okay, but Pearsall's a guy who clearly needs practice reps. He had a basically no training camp last season, missed half the year due to the gunshot injury. I like Pearsall a lot, but if you're a guy that's kind of coming into the league and you're missing practice, that certainly concerns me. And more and more, I think Jennings is probably going to be the wide receiver 1 for Brock Purdy this season. On top of that, you do currently have George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey there, but they're both injury prone. There's extra upside on top of that because if either one of those guys went down, Jennings would be even more important to this offense. And last season, he finished as the wide receiver 25. He did that with Debo and Ayuk on the roster to start the season. Both those guys are gone. So he did basically finish as a wide receiver 2 for us in fantasy last year and did it in probably a scenario where we had more target competition. This season, the Niners have an incredibly easy schedule. In fact, it's the easiest schedule in terms of wins their opponents had over the course of the last season across the entire league. They also have the 3rd highest projected total over the course of the season. So Vegas thinks they're going to score the 3rd most points in the NFL this year. that means that there's going to be a lot of fantasy value in this offense, right? And I mean, Kittle and McCaffrey can't do it all. It's got to come from the wide receiver position to some extent. And Jennings being drafted as a wide receiver 41. He's a legitimately good player. He's not like an alpha wide receiver for this team, but he's probably going to get like a 20+% target share. He's got touchdown upside. I think he's going to finish as a top 30 guy this year. And being drafted as a wide receiver 41, I love getting him on my roster right there. Next, we got Calvin Ridley coming off of back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and he just received what should be a very significant quarterback upgrade, going from Will Levis to Cam Ward, the #1 overall pick this season. Currently being drafted as a wide receiver 33 off boards right now. I think that's far too low. There's really just no target competition here. You've got Tyler Lockett. They added some day 2 and day 3 rookies. None of those guys scare me. Treylon Burks got hurt again today. It really sucks. I like Treylon Burks. I think he's got talent, but just can't seem to stay healthy. And Chigakonkwo, probably going to be the #2 wide target in this offense, honestly. And if anything, that just screams that Calvin Ridley is going to be incredibly important to this offense. I think a 30% target share is within the range of outcomes for this guy. And the defense in Tennessee is still not great. This is a team that's going to be playing from behind. You're going to get a lot of garbage time, a lot of them just having to throw the ball and come back. I think a lot of people generally think that bad teams can't produce fantasy value, but the Browns led the NFL in pass attempts last season. So bad teams certainly throw the ball a lot. It gives you a lot of opportunity at the wide receiver position. Ridley really feels like a lock to be a top 30 guy. I think people are just sort of tired of him because he's getting up there in age, hasn't really returned value at his ADP over the last couple of years, but that doesn't mean he's been bad. He's been a good player. I think he's being drafted way too low right now, and if he ends up getting lucky in the touchdown department, he could end up being like a top 15 guy. Like, that's in his range of outcomes just with the actual role he has in this offense. And I'm actually pretty excited about having Calvin Ridley on my roster this season. So I draft a lot of him right now. I think he's going to be really good for us. Probably not going to be a wide receiver 1, but I think he can be a wide receiver 2. And being drafted as a wide receiver 33, that's pretty low right now. So I like Ridley quite a bit this year. And lastly, I wanted to give you guys one really deep cut here. I think Josh Palmer is actually going to be a good value in drafts this season. He was currently being drafted as a wide receiver 73 off boards. That feels pretty insane to me. For those of you who don't know, he was traded to he signed with the Buffalo Bills this offseason. He signed a 3-year, $29 million deal. So that's a legitimate contract, right? Like, they actually valued him. They wanted him on their roster, and they want him to be an integral part of the offense for a while. Reports out of camp right now are that he's really integrating well to the offense, that he's just looking like a great part of the offense. And like, I've seen reports that he has a shot to be near the top of the team in terms of snaps share. So like, you're going to have a guy on the field all the time with Josh Allen. And we've seen Josh Palmer be good enough for fantasy before, especially when given actually like a full-time snap share. He's never been like a wide receiver 1, right? He's never filled in for Mike Williams or Keenan Allen over the years and just dominated, but he's been good. And I think he could probably just flex Josh Palmer all year long. And currently being drafted as a wide receiver 73, that feels really safe. Like, you can't go wrong at that draft cost. I think there's actually a lot of upside there. Being attached to Josh Allen obviously gives you that. And if you got lucky in the touchdown department, just really became like a go-to guy for Josh Allen, which he could be, right? Like, where's the target competition? You've got Shakir, you've got Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman. None of those guys scream like, I'm an alpha in this offense. So there's an opportunity for anybody to really step in and be the #1 target. Josh Palmer, probably going to be the #2 or 3 behind Shakir and probably Coleman or Kincaid, but I like Palmer. I think he's a good, not great player, and being a good wide receiver for Josh Allen, that's pretty valuable. So I like him quite a bit. I think he's going to be a deep threat for them. I like him. I think he's going to be a very flex viable asset, and being drafted as a wide receiver 73 just feels really free. So go get Josh Palmer with like the last pick of your drafts and best ball and stuff this year. I think he's going to be pretty valuable. So that'll do it for the wide receiver values. Up next, I'm going to go over values at the running back position, so stay tuned for that video. If you guys haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a ton of content coming out over the next several weeks. We're getting really close to draft season here. We're in late July, so a month from now, you guys are probably having your drafts, and you're going to want to make sure you're sticking around and make sure that you guys have all the information. I'm going to be here all year long to help you guys win your leagues. I'll be helping you throughout draft season. During the regular season, there's going to be several videos a week. I'll help you with waivers, trades, start-sit decisions. There'll be live streams Sunday morning. There's going to be a ton of content coming up, so just make sure you guys are subscribed. That way you don't miss it. That way we win some leagues together and have a lot of fun along the way. So I really appreciate you guys. If you made it this far in the video, give it a thumbs up. It helps me out quite a bit, and I'll see you next time, guys. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.